Thank you, folks. Sorry about that little technical difficulty, but we're back live at WCA Pro Qualifier for Europe for 2015 here live at Gamescom. Gamescom, you having a good time? They're having a great time. We're about to experience some Heroes of the Storm action between two teams, Team ATN Fancy and Team Liquid. Now, the losers bracket is already set for all four teams, so we may see a little bit more fun and different characters being chosen here for Heroes of the Storm. Let's go ahead and start the match.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the WCA Europe. We have our next game, ATN Fancy, going up against Team Liquid. And both of these teams already lost twice. Right now, the match between them doesn't really do anything for the seedings anymore, but we are definitely going to have a lot of fun today with them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is still part of the round-robin phase. We are not in to the lower bracket yet. So like you said, these matches don't really affect the placings in any way, but we're still going to play them out. So the teams may, like I said, have a bit of fun.
And therefore, it's really difficult to see or to predict what we're going to see here. We expect a very unorthodox draft, at least for a few of the games later on. Already Navi and Fnatic talking a lot about what they try to play here. The name Murky popped up several times, and also Nova is probably going to see some love. We could see the same thing here today, but for now, Team Liquid actually with a very good ban here, going into a standard Jaina ban. And let's see if ATN Fancy goes for that Zeratul that we oftentimes see incoming as the second ban for the teams.
Yeah, like you said, completely standard to start off with, and Zeratul would be a very good ban for them here. It is the Cursed Hollow, one of the larger maps, and Liquid have been known to play the Abathur on it, so maybe we see that as the ban coming in here.
Yeah, so for now, Zeratul is one of the bans that we actually see a lot. As you mentioned, Abathur is very good on the map too, so it's one of the heroes that we could see there. Yesterday, actually, Fnatic playing Abathur with Monty the Monstrosity and doing a lot of work. It was kind of fun to see, especially in level 20, the ultimate Monstrosity coming into play, doing so much work, cancelling the tributes, putting pressure on. And both of these teams going full serious mode right now. Zeratul banned out, so Team Liquid with the first pick, that could be a Zagara, that could be an Abathur. There are a few options that they have, and I'm pretty curious to see what's going to happen for them now.
Yeah, Liquid are very much known for those two heroes as like their main first picks, just getting them in straight away. So it is quite likely we'll see some of those unless they decide to go a bit out of the ordinary. There's also the option, of course, of the Lost Vikings coming in from Liquid, just for that huge extra lane soak.
And as much as we know that these games are not important for the seeding anymore, after Team Liquid lost 4 maps in a row, I feel a victory for them here is quite important. It doesn't really matter if those matches really affect the seedings or not. You want to win them. You want to go into tomorrow's games with a victory and not with another loss, and especially Team Liquid, a team that hasn't lost any matches offline until yesterday. They need a bit of a confidence boost here.
Yeah, this is basically a morale match for both of these teams, as neither have been able to take a map this entire tournament. So one of them has to break their streak here.
Team Liquid is starting with the Zagara, as we already expected. ATN Fancy now have, of course, a few options what they could start with. We've seen a huge focus on Uther as one of the earlier healers. We have also seen a lot of Leoric as the first pick here. And especially ATN Fancy, they love the Muradin and have oftentimes picked him in the first section.
Yeah, the Muradin very strong for them. We actually saw it being used to great effect by LoL yesterday, basically as a melee assassin, where he would repeatedly chase down Blackscorp to try and wipe him out with that Muradin. So maybe ATN Fancy, like you said, will bring it in via their first wave.
Yeah, LoL yesterday is super aggressive with Muradin, putting a lot of pressure onto the back line, whereas Johanna was more used to just protect the squishies. So it was a pretty cool strategy that Fnatic ran there. We have the Abathur early on, and Abathur Illidan, the gauntlet has been thrown. ATN Fancy revealing super early on the draft what they want to go for.
So this does immediately mean that Liquid can pick up the Uther or the Rhaegar here, whichever one they would prefer, and ban out the other one. So that does mean that whatever happens, ATN Fancy will be in a situation where they're going to have to heal with Malfurion. Not a burst healer, which you really like to keep. You really like to help keep Illidan alive.
It would really be one of the things that Team Liquid needs to do right now. If they don't want to pick a healer, or if they don't want to ban a healer, they should at least pick the Uther away. We all know what an Illidan with Divine Shield can do to an opponent's backline, and especially if you have an Abathur in your team as well, then you know that he is going to wreak havoc. And there is that Uther that we expected, taken early on. And Team Liquid has now also a chance to go into their tank, maybe pick a Muradin here so that they can put some pressure onto someone like Illidan. But also Johanna with a shield glare is not too bad against the strong melee assassin that ATN Fancy has chosen.
This is very true. You can run either one of them to sort of control the area. Alternate Fancy will pick first though, so Team Liquid are going to have to go with what they want now, in fear that Fancy will either ban it or pick it away in the next phase.
Yeah, so for now, Team Liquid has to think about what they need most. Do they need another warrior here? Do they want to supply a bit more damage? Because they, of course, have the option to go into additional damage heroes now here as well if they want to be a bit more aggressive with the draft. They can, for example, go for one of those Kelthas, but they decide to go into the Muradin. We already mentioned him, a great hero here to take against Illidan. That Reverberation build that you have with your first talent is extremely strong. You are super tanky, can play him as a solo tank, as a double tank. It doesn't really matter. Muradin is always a great choice.
Yeah, Reverberation, just a super strong ability. We actually see Alternate Fancy when they play Muradin actually running him with a bit more of a hybrid build, where you'll take the Reverberation and go for other Storm Bolts, whereas most other teams, like Liquid for example, like to go full Thunderclap, just so they get that extra mark on the ground, just in the off chance that Illidan is still there, so he gets that second attack slow.
Alternate Fancy could ban someone out like Sylvanas. Usually it doesn't happen too often, but Team Liquid is still one of those teams that oftentimes uses a Sylvanas against an Illidan composition. They've done it already in the qualifier, in the online part of the qualifier that is, so it's definitely something that Team Liquid might consider here. Sylvanas has been a hero that also works extremely well with the Zagara, but instead we are seeing the ban on Anubarak to make sure that the Web Blast on the healer is not going to be a problem for Alternate in the long run.
Yeah, so the Web Blast on the healer would have been very brutal if that had been a situation Fancy were going into, but the fact is, it is likely the Liquid are going to ban out Rhaegar, but either way, Web Blast on a Malfurion would still be pretty devastating. There is the Rhaegar ban, so Fancy, they have to go with the Malfurion here. They could go with Lili, we've seen her played a couple times now, but Malfurion just much higher priority for a lot of teams.
And of course, Anubarak ban also makes sense against the Malfurion. As Thatcher already said, you can really negate that Tranquility here too. But now for Alternate Fancy, I mean, they still need a bit of range damage. Avala is one of the heroes that they could pick up here. They could also decide to go for the late game and therefore just go into a Kelthas, but some kind of range damage would be important for them. And they also still need their front line, which in this case could be a Tyrael if they want to be super aggressive with the draft. If not, then a Johanna is quite likely.
Yeah, completely agree with that, and they could, in theory, go for both. Johanna as their frontline Imperial for the super aggression, if that is what they want to go for, but they would leave the Malfurion open, and against Liquid, that's something you want to reconsider a lot of times, because they have been known to double support, sorry.
For Team Liquid, what I want to really see is if they again play a Sylvanas against Distance. They've done it the last time that they had to face an Illidan composition. They said, alright, Sylvanas might not be played by a lot of teams, but we still love her against an Illidan, since that silence on the Wailing Arrow is just so good. You wait for him to use the Metamorphosis to jump into the backline, you use that silence, and then you just barrel down with every single hero that you have and try and take him out, and that might be something that they're going to try here as well. They would have a lot of pushing potential then too, with Team Liquid already running the Zagara. For Alternate Fancy, as expected, it is the Vala, but what's going to be their fourth pick?
Yes, they have their range damage now, and now have the double Demon Hunter composition like we expected. The Malfurion not taking the risk. Maybe Liquid could go double support. Instead, they just pick it up to make sure it is safe.
Team Liquid now with a couple of options. First of all, they need a bit more damage. One more damage dealer, that is definitely a given, but at the same time, it's the question, what do they play next? Do they add another damage dealer in? Are they going to go for a Tyrande, maybe even add one of those flex heroes that we have? Or is it just a second tank that they put in the front line? They have a lot of options here, and especially a Muradin Tyrande Uther combination could be very strong. They don't have the Jaina for the extra burst damage, but they could in this case also add a Kelthas, which has additional damage for them. Also, of course, the Gravity Lapse for another stun. So that's a lot of potential for combos that we are seeing here from him. They don't necessarily have to go for that Sylvanas that we mentioned, but it's an option that they could use. It all depends on, do they want to focus on their own composition, or do they want to draft like more of an anti-Illidan combo?
Yeah, right now they are already moving into the anti-Illidan combo, but it is a 100% chance that they can focus on their own composition, like you did say. So, Liquid running down their bonus time pool, trying to make their decision. They have two picks. They could pick both of them. They could pick the Sylvanas and the Kelthas there and just go very heavy on the damage and purely rely on Muradin for protection. There is the Sylvanas. I like it, I like it. Most of the other teams don't play Sylvanas anymore, as I already said before, but Team Liquid still relies on that silence against Illidan. I'm really liking that setup. But that makes me, I don't really think that with this setup it really makes sense for them to play the Tyrande here, since they are lacking that burst damage just a bit. They have a good damage on the Zagara, and they can also of course use that Sylvanas, but they have no Jaina, which you oftentimes like to go for.
They have still the opportunity to do that. Even in this case, a Tacita might be something that they're considering, but you could also just simply go for that Johanna and say, all right, we're going to bring in a second frontliner just to make sure that we even have more lane presence. And it's already a pretty pushy lineup that they have. They have a Zagara, they have a Sylvanas, yeah, and they could just say, let's push those lanes in even further and pick the Johanna.
Absolutely, they could go for that, or they could, like you said, go for the other frontliner, or just some extra damage, maybe in the form of Nazeebo or something like that. The Kael'thas, like we said earlier, many options for Liquid here, and it's completely up to them what they want to go for. Fancy have yet to pick their tank, so if Liquid did go for the Johanna here, it would limit the options of Fancy going in.
Fancy would have been very likely to go into Tyrael. At this point, I still don't know if they want to do it, just because a Judgment can be cancelled out. They go for damage. Team Liquid, they don't play it safe at all here. It's not like, okay, we're going to bring that Johanna in. Nope, they are also not going to go for Tacita Tirana. They just say, yes, we need more damage on the board. It's the Nazeebo, it's the specialist. And that's a lot of squishies, but I still don't know if a Tyrael will be able to get his Judgment through with an Uther on the other side that doesn't only have a cleanse, but also that Divine Shield. But
it is basically Uther they are relying on to protect all of their members here.
True.
And especially to try and get the heal against that Illidan, but instead they do not go for the Judgment, they go for the Johanna, getting a lot more control in the battle as opposed to the dive and attempt burst, because the Illidan is nice for the attempted burst, but Valor has to come very far forward to follow up with that, and that puts her in a lot of danger from being engaged upon by Muradin and taken down by the dealers of Liquid.
I really like the Johanna that they have right now. This is a lot of more safety that they have. Johanna together with an Abathur is also extremely strong, so I'm liking that setup that they're currently running here. Team Liquid, we saw them on screen just a second ago. They have to be super careful now. They already lost twice. They were not happy, not at all, and at this point they really need to make a difference. And you can really tell that even though there's not too much on the line for both of the teams, they will face each other tomorrow again in the bracket, but for the seeding, it's not really important. Both of them, with a super normal draft, they're trying to really do their best to win this game. Both of them have lost every single match that they played so far, and they want to head into tomorrow's matches with a victory.
This is 100% true. Alternate, we can see them there completely focused. They really want to take a game, a map, but we have to remember, like you said, these matches aren't affecting the seeding in the slightest, so there's a good chance that maybe these teams are hiding strategies.
And the game is live. We are on Curse Solo, the first map in the best of 3 series, and to the left side of the map we have the team of ATN Fancy. Devis is playing the Abathur. We have Darkmog on Illidan, the melee assassin, Blumby on Johanna, Crosby on Vala, and Krolu on Malfurion. To the right side of the map, after losing every single game yesterday, it's one of the best teams in Heroes of the Storm, the Spaniards. It is Team Liquid! Vortex is playing Zagara. We have Blackscorp on Sylvanas. He will have to wait with that Railing Era until Illidan uses Metamorphosis. Falcon on Nazeebo. We have at the front line again Lucifron on Muradin, and Garan Paquete is playing Uther in this game. So let's try and find out who's going to take the lead here.
Top lane is, well, having a bit of a party. An incredible push by Team Liquid with all 5 members straight away trying to take down the tower, but Abathur did jump onto it, giving it that little bit of extra protection. Falcon being back to base so he can go to bot lane a little bit quicker and via a safer route.
Yeah, at this point, Abathur will have to try and soak some experience, some extra experience, but it's going to be really difficult for them to make that happen. And the first tower at the top lane, as we already saw, is nearly down. So very aggressive start of Team Liquid, moving up to the top with 5 man, using that Zagara and Sylvanas composition to push the lane in, and they still have the tri lane up at the top.
Yeah, and Sylvanas just repeatedly using that Shadow Dagger, and it keeps bouncing onto that tower, just ticking it down little by little every single time. Ooh, Banelings as well. It's just so low, it's just a matter of time. It's living on borrowed time.
Abathur is currently soaking the bot lane experience. We have Davis in position where he always just tries to use the symbiote. He needs to, of course, make sure that he's either with his body or with the symbiote on the lane so that he can get the experience. The top lane, on the other hand, the rotation of alternate already happened. We have Blumby there eating a lot of damage. Trollo is trying to help him with the root. Use that on the ground. And the important part, of course, is that especially Johanna has quite a bit of lane push, but still, against the Sylvanas and the Zagara, good luck with that.
That tower still alive. How many hit points has that got? 2. That is a 2 hit point tower. The bounce from Sylvanas not reaching it, but this will just be a good jump in XP for Team Liquid. Illidan, on the other hand, for Alternate Fancy in the mid lane, pushing up very aggressively against the Muradin, as you can see that there's no one really in range to try and gank him.
And talking about the mid lane, those two towers are already out of ammunition as well. So Darkmog, together with the Abathur that helps him out, is already doing a lot of damage there. So both of the teams, it's really like, I mean, we've been talking a lot about it. The seeding matches are not affected anymore for both of the teams. There's really nothing on the line except, of course, for Pride, and they want to win a match here, and they are going all out. I mean, they're not holding back here. The aggression in the top lane are showing that already. We have the level 4 talents coming into play now, and that gives us on Abathur the full support build with an Adrenal Overlord after the pressurized clans.
Yeah, everyone else also going fairly standard. We see the Malfurion with the Elun's Grace, giving him those longer range abilities, especially the harass ability to try and deny out that tribute as much as possible. And on the other side, we see Envenom coming in from the Sylvanas. Uther going with the Protective Shield.
And Krolu takes the tribute for Alternate Fancy. We have now Lucifron and Karampaketa starting to move back into the mid lane. Up at the top, Black Scorp and Vortex still doing their thing. Still trying to push down that wall before they rotate again. And currently they're also about to take down tower number 2.
Yeah, they get that pretty easily. Black Scorp is quite low on health, so if he got ganked, he could have been in a bit of trouble, but did have his Haunting Wave up, and it was only Johanna coming up to the top lane. Now Furion has arrived as well. Now Black Scorp does get taken down here, chased down by Crosby.
Yeah, maybe hitting that wave a bit too early again. He was trying to get away with a Shadow Wave, but didn't really work for him. I mean, the Haunted Wave went back and he immediately made a tiny jump. He should have waited just a tiny little bit longer until he was behind the gate, but he didn't. So the first kill in the game for Alternate Fancy.
This isn't very good for them. However, it is enough time still for Sylvanas to come back up and still be available for the next tribute fight, which should be happening any moment now.
And the Zebo is pushing in the bot lane hard. Falcon making sure that all of these structures are going to go down as well. Abathur's trying to prevent it, but there's no chance. And in the meantime, we have Blumby and Crosby on their Johanna and Vala combo, going straight for the camps, trying to create some additional pressure before tribute number 2 spawns on the map.
Muradin going with the battle momentum here as opposed to the Pierce, which a couple people take. Darkmog just doing this camp directly next to where this tribute is being taken, relying on his team to harass this while he finishes up, and he does actually finish up in time. Will he get in there in time to deny the tribute? No, he doesn't. Abathur attempting to spike it, but the body block coming out from Falcon.
The unstable poison on Sylvanas is going to increase their pushing power, of course, like so much. It's crazy how fast you can take a wave out. He took with the wind on level 1, with a git bin on a Zebo, that's even additional damage that you have here. And the camp that has been captured by Darkmog on his Illidan is now pushing in the mid lane. But we have Vortex and Black Scorp and Zagara and Sylvanas already in position, and he shouldn't really be able to do too much.
Yeah, they are wiping this Bruiser camp out so quickly. And Falcon just continuing the pressure on the bottom lane. Muradin pushing against only an Abathur in the top lane is getting quite a lot done and can now move down to join his team for the tribute.
Alternate Fancy is doing a solid job here, but it is Team Liquid taking the lead in experience. We have them on level 9 nearly, so it's roughly a level lead that they have, and we are seeing them move straight for the tribute up at the top. It would be the second tribute for both of the teams, and we see a rotation now happening. Abathur's at the bot lane, soaking EXP, trying to help out the team with his symbiote. Blumby is in a bit of trouble on the other hand, though. He needs to be careful here, and Lucifron jumps in. He wants Vala. Black Scorp is there too. They take the kill, and now they're pushing back Johanna.
Blumby diving very deep there to try and save his teammate, instead manages to get himself killed as well. And Lucifron able to pick up the tribute, and that is 2 tributes to Team Liquid, putting them in a great position for getting the first curse.
Very good double kill there, especially Lucifron. He was in a position where he channeled the tribute, he saw an opportunity, jumps over the rocks and just takes Vala down here together with Black Scorp. Job well done, and that gives them level 10 early on in the game. Good stun against Malfurion now as well. Tries to go for the clap. His avatar is ready. We have Divine Storm, by the way, taken. Sylvanas, on the other hand, is taken out in the mid lane, apparently by Illidan here. So even with the heroics, we still see Alternate taking an additional kill.
And that is very good for them. But the heroics, like you said, the Divine Storm, very interesting. They could get a seriously high damage wombo out of this with Gargantuan, Moore, and Divine Storm, and the Wailing Arrow. Dev is having a couple issues with the fact that there is an Azebo in his lane, but he's just backing away from it for now.
If you're playing a Sylvanas against an Illidan, all that you really need is patience. You are not allowed to hit that that Wailing Arrow unless, of course, you get the perfect engagement against like 4 with a good wombo combo. But normally, you really want to wait for Illidan to use his Metamorphosis. If you don't, he's just going to dodge the silence with it. But right now, they are going straight for Uther. Uther is in trouble. He's about to go down, uses Divine Shield, shields himself. The kill against Svala, and a pretty good maul there as Illidan is being attacked. He tries to go for Zagara, but before that happens, Illidan dies to Zagara, is still alive. Vortex is moving back once again. A good route against Johanna. They're about to get the kill.
Abathur comes in and shields Johanna, but Lucifron over the wall jumps in and takes him down. That is 4 for 0. And Ultimate Fancy, all they have left is Abathur, who is just pushing the bottom lane. Liquid, not even getting the tribute yet, just focusing down the boss as quick as they can.
Vortex, unbelievable. He gets jumped, he has no escape. He saves himself several times. Grand Paquette doing whatever he can to keep him alive now too, and not even dying. Very good job. Yeah, he was chased down throughout the entire fight and just got away. Delivered the damage as well. They get the tribute, they get the curse, and they take their boss up at the top.
Yeah, Grand Paquette engaged upon, protective shielded himself, and then Divine Storm just in time for Zagara to maul anyone who would have finished him off and repositioned himself very effectively. Liquid, bit split up here. Zagara is not ready for this fight, but they're going in with Blessed Shield comes down from Ultimate though, and a nice condemn from Johanna. Strafe, bringing on Lucifron, interrupts it with a Storm Bolt.
Falcon got a lot of damage already. Lucifron is low, but so is Bloomby. It is Murden though who dies first. Davis is trying to chase down Falcon. He gets the kill against the Zebo. Great fight here by Alternate. They're going in again, go deep against Uther, trying to take down Grand Paquette. He heals himself, gets away in the last second, but no, there's the kill. Very like Wailing Arrow drops Svala. It's a 1 versus 3 though, and Alternate, they are in a great spot now. Well, as good as they can be with a curse.
Blackscorp's not done. He's trying to get Krolu, and he'll get him. Abathur is on the fort there, trying to defend it, but with the curse coming out from Team Liquid, the boss just got so much work done.
I mean, the fight themselves went really well for Alternate, but the problem, of course, is that the curse worked against them, and as long as they are fighting down at the mid lane, the boss can do whatever it wants, so there was no defense against this. Team Liquid was just in an amazing position either way. Even with them losing a few heroes, they got a lot out of this curse. They already went through the fort up at the top lane. The boss is barreling down on the keep in the mid lane. Team Liquid was able to destroy another fort. They're going for boss at the bot lane now too. They are in an amazing position. Level 13 versus level 13 is now in play, and Alternate is just too late to contest this.
Yeah, Bloomby was thinking about going in there, but does back up out of there as the boss has already gone down.
We have level 13 now again with the Soma transference for Abathur. Illidan is going into his evasive shield talent. We're having, even for Johanna, a bit more damage thanks to the Burning Rage and of course the control on Vala. She went from the start for a multi-shot build, and she now has Frost Shot as well. And finally, for Malfurion, a bit more help with that Frost Warmer.
Yeah, that is going to really help him stay alive, popping that Ice Block to maybe dodge out a Wailing Arrow so that he can get his Tranquility off for as long as possible. Liquid, though, continuing to push this in. Dark Box sneaking around. Johanna's already causing a bit of mayhem. Tranquility and Strafe coming down at the same time. There's the Divine Storm to follow up. Shrink Ray used on Crosby.
And we have a double Illidan once again. The Abathur copy going straight for Falcon. The Illidan is already down. The Divine Storm did so much damage. And the kill against two Malfurion gone, and so is Johanna. Fnatic, in this case Team Liquid, of course, is moving in. The boss at work. The Black Arrow trade dropping the keep now. They are on level 16 in a second and might even be able to take the game.
What a maul from Vortex there, catching two members and allowing his team to completely control this. Crosby being dropped low there gets Abathur, but is able to still walk away with his health. Abathur is in the top lane, just continuing to get any kind of so-called push here that he can. Liquid just pulling back, about to go start doing some mercenaries, and Blackscorp clearing out the mid lane.
We have him now with the Leaping Spiders. The Benediction has been taken. Stone Form for Meridian is going to keep him alive in all of these fights, and with them having a 2-level advantage over Alternate Fancy, they fight themselves in a great spot. They drop the first keep. The one at the top lane is already at roughly half health, a bit more than that, but they could, with another curse or a boss, really put additional pressure on Alternate Fancy and maybe even go for core.
Ultimate Fancy, once again, really split up. Johanna, not even coming down to help contest this, is going top to grab some XP, which is fine due to the fact that Liquid completely reset their tribute count with the last curse.
Team Liquid is currently going from camp to camp, taking whatever they can on the map. They have 11 kills against 5, and as long as Alternate Fancy doesn't have the level 16 talent, they're going to play very passive, trying to just like farm a few waves. It's really difficult for them since most of the lanes are really pushed out. The one at the bot lane still offers quite some experience, and and of course Abathur can just move onto the lanes and try to make sure that he gets with a symbiote additional EXP to finally bring them that level 16 talent.
And the level 16 talent is super important for Ultimate Fantasy, especially with tributes coming up. Liquid, though, are instead just pushing the top lane as they already still had that talent advantage. So they're able to just put pressure on. They're going to try and finish off this keep before the rest of Ultimate Fantasy comes back. Crosby coming in, just dropping some damage straight away. Everyone is back. Malfurion's a long way behind.
So much burst on their side. They take the keep. They move back with level 16 talents. Now Alternate goes in again. They have the double Illidan. They're trying to use this carry. The Gargantuan is already up at the front line. Devis is going deep. His Illidan copy is nearly gone though. And they have still Crosby in the backline with the additional damage. And the stun against Illidan. He's jumping in again though. He doesn't really care. Bloom is solo. Bloom is stunned. He's down. The tank is down and the more hits too.
And Illidan is in the back, like completely alone now, thanks to that more. Krolu and Crosby try to retreat with that tranquility to keep them alive. The route from Krolu to try and give Crosby a chance. They're turning onto Blackscope, trying to take him down. He gets body blocked by his team, but gets the heal from Grand Paqueta. Down goes Malfurion. They're able to finish off Muradin in the end, and Crosby is able to get out. But that is a keep and 3 members for 1 member by Team Liquid.
Vala and Abathur, the sole survivors in this fight, and that more by Vortex was so good. Illidan jumps in, Vortex catches the other 2, and all of a sudden Illidan is all alone, turning around looking for his team, but nobody's there to help him out, and they focus him down. He's dead, and then Malfurion gets taken out next. Great play here again by Team Liquid. They are still nearly 2 levels ahead. Blackscope just barely surviving. Grand Paqueta also with great heals in the last second, keeping him alive.
Ultimate Fantasy just starting to respawn now, finally arriving back. They're not going to be able to contest Liquid at this boss. Instead, just having to move out and clear the lanes. Valor going to take that watchtower, but it doesn't matter as Liquid is about to push in even harder again, and with another tribute spawning, they may even get a curse as this boss arrives at the base.
Yeah, worst case scenario at this point now for Alternate Fancy. They're already way behind, 6 kills against 14. The boss up at the top is going to focus their attention to that. Level 19 now for Team Liquid. They could wait for 20, but they don't really have to. They can try to push with one of the bosses. At the bot lane, there's another 17 seconds until boss number 2 is up on the map again, and the tribute, as you already mentioned, Tetra, is now to the top. So they have so many opportunities now, so many choices of what they could do.
Ultimate Fancy did group up on this boss very far out so that they could take it down, or at least stop paying attention to it before it gets too far into their base. But now they have to make a decision. Do they go towards the enemy boss, or do they go to the tribute? Do they just suffer the curse, or do they suffer another boss pushing? And it looks like they are heading towards the boss. Liquid are in fact splitting up. A couple members heading down to the boss with Nazebo heading up to that top lane tribute. They
just have to buy a bit of time and make sure that Nazebo is able to get the tribute. All the lanes are already pushing in against Alternate Fan. Oh my god, in the mid lane, look at that, Lucifon, the silence and the more kill against Illidan. Really well played here. Half of the team was not with him, but now they turn around against Johanna. She tries to use the condemn Abathur with the help, but it's too late already. Crosby using strafe. There's the copy, the stun from Uther, moves in Divine Storm, and bam, down goes Vala as well. A triple kill, a quad kill, and only Abathur alive to save the core, and that is never gonna happen.
Yeah, that is not happening indeed. There is the Gargantuan. Really nice by Blackscorp in that last fight, using his Haunting Wave to get behind the retreating member of Ultimate Fancy, and that will be GG! Blackscorp teleporting into the base. Team Liquid take game number 1.
Game number 1 taken by Team Liquid, and they are definitely not kidding around here. They want to have the 2-0 victory. They want to get some confidence for tomorrow. Yesterday was a black day for Team Liquid. Definitely not what they expected coming here to Germany, to Cologne, but they did extremely well on this first map.
Yeah, super well played by them, going for a very aggressive style with 3 damage dealers in there, as opposed to the 2 tank lineups we see so often in the current meta. And they just destroyed it, keeping their damage dealers alive. Like, Sylvana's died a bit in lane because, well, she is very squishy and can get taken down by quite a bit of CC. But the fact is, she pretty much hit every single Wailing Arrow on at least 3 members. So super well played there.
Yeah, Illidan, especially in the last fight where he jumped in that Wailing Arrow, hitting instantaneously, and then there comes the more kill actually with a bit of damage. The other Wailing Arrow that we saw from Blackscorp taking down Vala, even chasing her down, she already thought she was safe, but nope, there was still the auric ability of Blackscorp in play on his Sylvanas. And what I really loved were those Maws from Vortex. They were so good.
Every time, every single time he got so many members, and especially that one on the last two members of Ultimate Fantasy, just leaving Illidan just on his own. And he was in Metamorphosis at the time. Like, he just cast it, the Maw came out, so he literally disappeared when his team was there, and then reappeared without, just like, guys, what happened?
It's very reminiscent of what we happened when Brightwing was a big thing, and when sometimes, of course, for the continuous wins and just pushed everybody away from Illidan, trying to isolate him from the rest of the team. And that's exactly what Vortex did with this Maw. Illidan was all alone, and an Illidan without a support is usually that Illidan.
Yeah, this is very, very true. They did an amazing job. And the draft also was very interesting for them. Ultimate Fantasy not able to use that Abathur to get the kind of split XP that they went for. We can see on the score screen that Abathur did manage to get almost 10,000 more XP than the rest of his team, but only about 6,000 more than the best XP gainer on the side of Team Liquid, and everyone else was able to keep up fairly well as well.
Yeah, Abathur was out. Davis was trying to do as much as he could in Abathur. He was usually on those tribute fights on the off lane where he's supposed to be, but in a lot of the cases he had a tough time moving onto lane because we had creep tumors everywhere. Vortex was making sure that he had good vision on the map, and you could a couple of times really see that Abathur wanted to try and go with the wave to soak additional experience, but he could never really hide because there were too many creep tumors, and as soon as he moves out, he's visible on the map. And he was, of course, afraid that one of the heroes would move over and try and take him out. There was so much control, especially that choice that we saw on the side of Team Liquid to not go into the Divine Storm, the Divine Shield, but instead take the Divine Storm, even with all the squishes that they had, because they said, we need to control Illidan. That additional stun is going to mean life or death for us.
Yeah, it worked out very well for them indeed. Like you said, the additional stun is fantastic, and they also used it very well. Basically, the second everyone started grouping around Malfurion as he casted Tranquility, it was either a Maw or a Divine Shield. Either time, Divine Storm. Either way, you're taking a lot of damage and in some serious lockdown.
And with all that lockdown, that's of course one of the things that they aimed for. So Alternate Fancy trying to play that Illidan composition, it didn't really work out for them too well. We're still waiting for the second map to be announced. Actually, we know that it's Dragonshire. So this is another map where you need to have a lot of communication. All the rotations are going to be super important. We've been going on about this in the days before, just a tiny bit. But if you have both of the shrines, even going for the dragon statue, you need to coordinate this super well. You need to make sure that both of the shrines stay in your control. You need to have the vision on the map. And these rotations, that's exactly what especially Team Liquid is known for.
Yeah, Team Liquid used to love this map, especially back in Alpha and Beta, where they would just take full control every single time, and sometimes not even allow a single Dragon Knight over to the other team. Yeah,
another team that is very good on this map is, for example, Virtus Pro, a team that we don't have yet at the tournament, but these guys are extremely good. And when it comes to control, especially pushing lanes back, they usually are able to draft lineups that are super strong on this map. I think the earliest Dragon Knight that I've seen from them was like 1 minute and 20 seconds, which is absolutely insane. And that's something that they're always trying to push out here. So right now we're going to find out what kind of lineup we're seeing drafted by these two teams. Alternate Fancy, they loved in the past to play their sniper composition with Tyrant and Muradin. We've been mentioning this especially yesterday. It's a great lineup to have on Dragonshire because you can get that early game advantage that you want to establish an early Dragon Knight, and you try to use that to snowball with experience, get a faster level 10, use the heroic abilities, go in, take maybe a 4th down, and just continuously stay ahead of your opponent.
Ultimate Fancy will be getting first pick and first draft in this draft phase. And do you think they're going to target ban anything from Liquid? I wouldn't say there's anything really worth target banning other than maybe Zagara, because, well, Vortex was on point with that.
Zagara is an option that they have. I could also even see them go for the old school, like Illidan ban into Zeratul ban, trying to get both of the melee assassins away, since especially Team Liquid has a very good melee assassin player. I'm not sure if they would really like to go into an Illidan again, since it seems like Team Liquid is absolutely prepared for it. But they could also go for a Jaina here, so they have quite a few options of what they could ban out. As the number 2 ban, though, we could still see Team Liquid for Zeratul, which you, of course, oftentimes see eliminated immediately.
There is the target ban, though. The Zagara coming out, giving maximum respect to Vortex there. And very well deserved. He did absolutely rock it. And Zagara is a pretty decent first ban as is. Actually, he's very powerful. And especially on this map, you can leave her alone in the lane
Yeah.
and just let her do whatever she wants.
Normally you see her at the top lane as a solo laner, but we've even seen a few adjustments by teams trying to use a tri-lane at the top with the Zagara to push in one of the walls right at the start. So Zagara is very, very strong here. That leaves Jaina open though. It leaves Jaina and it leaves Illidan open, and Team Liquid is taking their sweet time with their ban. They might not ban out Zeratul. We could actually see them with banning out any other hero that would leave Zeratul and Illidan, and they ban out the Jaina, and now all of a sudden Alternate Fancy can take a Zeratul, but Team Liquid could respond with an Illidan.
Yeah, and the question is, which one would Alternate Fancy like more, and do they want to risk that? So, are they comfortable with the whole fact that they could get the Void Prism, one of the greatest abilities in the game? And yes, they are. They want that Zeratul.
That could mean Abathur Illidan now for Team Liquid. I'm not 100% certain if Alternate Fancy really did themselves a favor with a Zeratul pick. Yeah, he is extremely strong, but they could have tried and take, for example, they could have taken Abathur and then just picked the additional melee assassin. They could have gone into Abathur Zeratul or Abathur Illidan, because the chances that Team Liquid would have picked both of the melee assassins are 0 to none.
Alternate Fancy, though, they can respond to this if Liquid pick the Abathur Illidan by doing what Liquid did to them and picking away the Uther, banning out the Rhaegar during the ban phase and limiting Liquid to the Malfurion that way. But Liquid, repeatedly known to run Illidan with a Malfurion, but there's a Johanna from Liquid.
They have, of course, the bans as well, so they can work with them too. And they go for Malfurion Johanna. So now that's a bit of an interesting development, because Alternate Fancy have now an opportunity to really cater towards that Zeratul composition. They can get an Uther, they can even go for an Abathur if they want to play a double Zeratul. So that's a very, very interesting opportunity for Alternate Fancy to just strengthen the melee assassin lineup that they were trying to draft.
Yeah, that's good. That's really, really strong for them. Abathur on this map, still very strong indeed. Like, there's very few maps he doesn't excel on, other than maybe like some of the smallest maps, and even then, he can still go full symbiote and still help out.
Even if you don't go for an Abathur, going for that Uther here together with the Zeratul is already great. That really helps you. And of course, they need to take one of their healers here. But they have the opportunity to go for so many different draft possibilities here. Even if you just like try to combo something off the Void Prism, and you don't go for an Abathur, but you try to get some additional AoE in. You can play a Kel'Thas with this if you want to, for example. Can try and use the Void Prism, set a Flame Strike in. They won't have the opportunity to use the Malfurion Root on it, as it was picked by Team Liquid. But even that Uther alone with the Divine Shield is going to give Zeratul the safety that he really needs to engage into those later team fights.
And Alternate Fancy just completely spoilt for choice here with just everything we went over, and so much more is available for them at their fingertips.
They have to consider, they have to think about an Uberak. If they really want to go into an Uther, an Uberak is something that they should pick or ban out. We've been talking about the Web Blast as a direct counter to the Divine Shield. So these are things that they are currently talking about. What happens if we pick the Uther? Can we pick the Abathur as well? Do we have to ban out an Uberak, or do we want to play with an Uberak? Those are just like a few of the draft possibilities that they have right now, combos that they could use, and they have to go through all those scenarios. What does it mean if we ban out an Uberak, for example? What exactly can we not ban against Team Liquid? What will they pick next? And they get the Uther as expected, but with all these possibilities being around, they have to really think about what is the best for us. Do we try to take something away from Team Liquid, or do we really just try to draft the strongest composition possible for Zeratul?
It is completely up to them, and once again, they're about to go into the time pool, and they take the Kel'Thas, so going straight for that extra damage to start off with against a Malfurion. Malfurion's a very good healer for this, as he can get some very nice AoE heals, and with Life Seed, could give his team a lot of protection. He misses out on his own protection for that. Liquid, though, just to point out at the start with, these two heroes they have picked is a decent start to a possible Asmodan comp.
That's also interesting what we see. You are completely right with that Asmodan composition, by the way. You could see that, but Team Liquid usually doesn't play Asmodan. And the one time they played Asmodan, they got wrecked.
Very true. It was yesterday.
They got an Uberak, to say so. And Uberak, by the way, banned by Team Liquid. So this is a super interesting scenario right now. Alternate Fancy, they don't want to go up against an Uberak, because they know fully well that if they do, the Divine Shield is going to cancel out. Team Liquid, on the other hand, they also don't want to go up an Uberak, because the Tranquility that is being used on Malfurion can be directly countered by a Web Blast. So both of the teams don't want to go play against him, but apparently Team Liquid doesn't want to play him. They are saying, yeah, we already have the Johanna, we don't want to play with an Uberak, better safe than sorry, let's ban him out right now, because if Alternate Fancy picks him later, we have a problem. And as you already said, we have the possibility of an Asmodan, which is why Alternate Fancy bans him out. Then again, Team Liquid doesn't have the best track record with it as a band, so they could have even thought about just letting it through.
True, but they were up against a composition that was basically pretty much tailor-made to stop Asmodan from stacking to Alternate Fancy, with, I think, a very sensible ban here. Their only healer is the Uther, and he is very limited in terms of his mana, so you preferably want to remove that kind of situation where your Kael'thas could be like, all right, guys, I'm 16, I'm going back to base, I've been hit by an Asmodan cube.
Exactly, and I mean, let's be honest, what else would you have banned? There are, of course, a couple of things that you can ban out that you don't want to play against, but if your opponent is trying to tear a composition around something, you just better ban it out. Team Liquid has already shown yesterday that they're willing to go into an Asmodan, so why take the chance? Team Liquid, though, with already a Johanna, great lane presence, and the Leoric coming into play. And we've all seen how strong Leoric can be on Dragonshire, and Na'Vi has shown it. Team Liquid is now trying to use it here too. They have two great tanks that can dictate the frontline play, and an Azebo. 4 damage, they really like that. And now they have all the opportunities. They can go into a Vala as the next hero. They can try to go for additional push. They can even, I mean, they could even drop the Vikings here. So whatever they want to do, they can try and make that happen. But Alternate Fancy, it's their choice and they need a tank.
And they immediately take one with the Muradin. Very, very solid tank. There's no melee assassin, so it's likely to be a Stormbot or a hybrid build that Fancy seems to like a lot. So very cool for them here.
They could get that Tyrande that we've been talking about. Of course, it's a bit on the squishy side, but it's definitely, it's a very aggressive composition for the early game. The Kael'thas might not have the damage that you really want there. He can't compare to a Jaina in the early game, but later on he is going to excel with his Ignite, and early on he can contribute to a combination like this. He can use his Gravity Lapse. So it's an option that they have. It would be an aggressive one, but it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and the extra healing would also be very nice for the Zeratul. Just keep him alive when he dives in. Because if he dives in and Liquid is just like, no, please, and just drop a root, drop some stuns, try and lock him down, then the Uther, the Tyrande would both together be able to keep Zeratul fairly safe.
There's like a lot of stuff that you could do. I mean, going back like really long, we could even, okay, they go into the Tyrael here. That helps them as well. It's actually like one of the heroes that they can use to just keep that entire combo safe. As we said, a Tyrande would have been the very aggressive option. In theory, they could have gone for something even more aggressive. They could have gone into an old school comp with a Zeratul Falstad combination using that Void Prism setup for the Hinterland Blast. It's something that we've seen in the beta and it hasn't been played for quite some time, but theoretically it would have still been an approach that they could have used here. Team Liquid though now, they have options to go into additional damage, and against a composition like this, we could see a Falstad, we could see a Vala. There's a lot of options that they have. We've been talking about the Vikings too. I mean, they have the opportunity to go for any of these heroes.
Yeah, they can go into any of them. Unfortunately, a lot of those options that they prefer, like the Vikings, for example, are very squishy and subject to Kael'thas's, but Liquid, they do pick up the Abathur in the end, so they can park him on top of one of their tanks and do a lot of, just a lot of chaos in the enemy backline. I'm
not even sure if they're going to try and go for team fights the entire time. I mean, just think about what happens if you have an Abathur in a rotate, like 3 man at the bot lane, you have the Leoric up at the top, the Abathur is soaking wherever he can, you help at the bot lane, it's a huge threat, the opponent moves to the bot trying to meet the threat, up at the top there's Leoric, you just simply jump in, he alone can already push the lane back, and suddenly he has an Abathur with the Spike Burst, that can push a lane, a forward or whatnot down in seconds, and then they can use a Monstrosity later as well. Like in terms of lane presence, this is a sick combo. You can use that with Hive Mind, for example, later on, especially on the double tanks in the team fights. But at the beginning, I think they're just going to try and play around the opponents, unless, of course, they're getting some kind of setup where they can snipe a hero.
Yeah, and speaking of sniping, the Alternate Fancy lineup, the Liquid gives them a lot of lane presence, but the Alternate Fancy one is so good at locking down and maybe picking off a hero, and that could be a problem for Liquid. Like, it's unlikely they're going to get Leoric, as he's basically just unkillable in that top lane if he's played right. And, well, Liquid can play a lot of heroes very, very right.
To be honest, I would just park the Leoric at the top lane. I would put the rest at the bot lane, trying to maybe soak with Abathur in the mid, jump to the bot lane, create pressure, allow Leoric some free space. They have a lot of opportunities how to play this. And we're going to find out how they are going to play it in just a bit. And well, for now, we are of course having once again to the left side the team that is down 1 game in the best of 3 series. They need a victory to stay in the match and to bring it into a 3rd map. It is Alternate Fancy. Davis is running Tyrael for the team. Crosby on Kel'Thas. We have Krolonutha, Blumby on Murden, and the melee assassin Zeratul, played by Darkmog. The Spaniards, on the other hand, to the right side of the map. They are 1-0 in the best of 3 already. It is Team Liquid. And already with the action straight in the mid lane here. Falcon on Azebo. Lucifer is playing Leoric. We have Blackscorp on Johanna today. Grand Paquette on Malfurion. And that, of course, puts up at the top Vortex with his Pajama Thor in the position where he has to assist the team.
Flame strikes coming out from Crosby already trying to get some aggression. And Liquid wrapping around the back of some of the members of Ultimate Fancy straight away, but with a very nice zombie wall, which didn't really help out Blackscorp too much. The members of Ultimate Fancy are able to back away.
So we're having the rotation between the mid and the bot lane now. Falcon, Blackscorp and Grand Paquette are at the bot. Up at the top, we're seeing Lucifer. He goes up against Tyrael, and Tyrael is going to have a tough time against Lucifer here, especially with the Abathur support that you have. The rotation is still happening. It's a very popular strategy on Dragonshire in particular to rotate between the mid and the bot lane with 3 to 4 heroes and just try to catch every single wave of your opponent's minions to keep up an experience. But you're also a big threat to anybody who's trying to go through those 2 lanes and meet you halfway.
And it's very cool what we're seeing out of Liquid here, the way they are killing off these minion waves. They are running in with Blackscorp and Falcon. Blackscorp condemning the minion wave as as Falcon puts down his zombie wall. So the minions are not only just pulled into a central point, they're also pulled into the zombies so that they take a maximum amount of damage. Yeah,
at the top lane, Davis is trying to do his best against Lucifer. Oh, well, Drain Hope already used and he's still in range. So Lucifer is easily going to stay alive here. Whoa, kill in the mid lane already. Nazebo going down. Crosby surviving. Darkmog, of course, applying the pressure, but Murden was the counter kill, so it's a 1-for-1 at least for now.
Yeah, so the pressure is on for these teams to try and grab the bottom shrine. And immediately we see Liquid trying to grab that Grand Paquette. Already going to be able to capture it, but there is no one in the mid lane able to grab it. Nazebo has just revived and is in the mid lane looking for his opportunity here. Johanna going to try and zone out Crowley here. Crowley taking quite a bit of damage, but bot lane has been retaken by Kel'Thas.
And currently Team Liquid is pretty much doing what I said earlier. They have Lucifer at the top lane on his Leoric. They help out at the bot lane. They put a lot of pressure in. Everybody needs to really face them here. Ultimate Fancy has to rotate against them. But then Abathur can always jump up to the top and push the lane in together with Leoric. So the top lane is pretty much lost already.
Talent-wise, though, we do have a slight variation. Oh, Zeratul trying to get Falcon here. They're trying to take him down. The root comes down from the side of Liquid there, and they're able to take... And Nazebo, though, is taken down by Ultimate Fancy. We're seeing Johanna just completely spell immune here, though. Yeah,
the small variation that you talk about, I really like him. And I'm just going to talk about that real quick. Oh, but Kel'Thas taken out here. So that's a 1-for-1 again. I guess you were starting to talk about the fealty onto death that we have instead of the Hardened Bones. And what Na'Vi does is play Hardened Bones and the Lingering Apparition to make sure that whenever you gank Leoric, he gets out of that situation without any problems whatsoever. But the fealty onto death gives you additional lane sustain. So if you just want to stay on lane and never move back, it's the better talent. And I think that he doesn't have to be afraid of ganks, because with the Abathur play that we're seeing on Vortex and that focus on the bot lane, you will never see a position where Ultimate Fancy can rotate. As soon as they rotate heroes away, they're going to lose the bot lane hard, so they have to stay there. And that gives Leoric so much space at the top lane that he can go for that talent adjustment.
This is a very good point. And they, in fact, also hit their level 7s a little bit ahead. Team Liquid looking very good here. Leoric continuing the pressure at the top lane. Now, Furion was pushed a little back by Krolu, but is able to walk his way back in and continue pushing this now that the Dragon Knight has arrived, while Johanna continues to push the mid lane.
Really smart play here from Team Liquid so far. Ultimate Fancy is doing whatever they can against this, but the entire game plan of Team Liquid is to stay ahead in experience, put pressure on the bot lane, create space for Leoric, have Leoric with a very sustainable build, not himself being super defensive against ganks, but he can just push this lane, and every single time Abathur has a little bit of breathing room. He jumps up to the top, he helps Lucifer out. In this case, doesn't even need help. The wall is already gone, Davis is pushed back, and he is going to lose that lane. He has no chance against this, and as long as the rest of his team is really creating space, Leoric is going to have a field day up there.
Yeah, and you can just see Lucifer is not even focusing on the minion wave at this point. He's just focusing on Tyrael, just like, get out my lane so I can keep pushing. and it's working out really well for him. The amount of damage he continuously drops in material is amazing.
It's just the strength of the setup that Team Liquid has. Two tanks that have very good lane pressure, and with Leoric going for fealty on the depth and the renewal, they have just so much. And once that you look at that, Zeratul moves up to the top lane to put some pressure against Leoric. Immediately Team Liquid is at the bottom lane saying that, well, they are gone. Thank you very much. We're going to take those structures. Abathur helps out at the top once he realizes that Leoric might be in trouble. Blumby goes in. He might actually die now, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. He won't even die here. There's an immediate rotation of Grand Paquette and Abathur.
He pops the renewal and gets the heal from Graphic. They're going on to Blumby with that Drain, hoping it's percentage damage, so it does a lot. Here comes Johanna, and she iron skins herself to dodge the stun, finishing off Muradin there. Super well played by Liquid.
Such a smart play here by Team Liquid with that draft. We have ATN Fancy with a strong early game draft. We've been talking about that rotation with the Zeratul putting in the pressure. The problem that they have is, with this much pushing potential for Team Liquid, when they start their rotation game, they lose structures, and that puts them behind experience. I mean, we have level 10 against level 9 now. The March of the Black King, the monstrosity on Abathur, of course. I mean, what are you going to copy here? It's much better to go for the monstrosity, have additional pushing power, and we've seen yesterday by Fnatic how strong that can be.
Blackscorp just continuing to soak here in the mid lane. Abathur has dropped his monstrosity into the bot lane. Blackscorp is engaged, not really engaged upon, is able to just walk away and move down to the bot lane as the shrines have just spawned, and Leoric has already got control of top.
Yeah, and Falcon realizing that he's needed from the rest of the team. Down here, the monstrosity, Monty is moving in, Grolo is being attacked, and it's the death of Uther. In comes again Blackscorp, and he's trying to use his Condemn to look him around. We have Zeratul moving away. The root against Kelpas though. He's trying to survive somehow, but another hit could take him out. Where's that Moonfire? Oh.
He is able to escape there. There's the Void Prison from Darksmoke. Not really sure. He's just to set up for the Flame Strike and the Phoenix of Crosby, but it's not enough damage, and Zeratul pays for it with his life. If Crosby stays too far out, he may pay for it as well. Tyrael arrived not really in time at all here.
Monty the monstrosity taking down Zeratul here. You have to respect Monty unless you want to die, and Zeratul didn't. So it's level 12 versus level 10. They have their heroic abilities, but this was another big victory for Team Liquid. They can move into the mid lane. They want to have another Dragonite, and already at the bot lane, Grand Paquette capturing the shrine, and they are potentially going to get another. Oh my god, Crosby actually misjudging the range on his gravity lapse. Blackscorp takes the DK, and they move it.
Yeah, Lucifron, Blackscorp, and Falcon all pushing into this mid lane. 3 members of ATN Fancy are here to defend this, while 2 are in the bot lane. And Liquid not over pushing yet.
Yeah, Liquid in this case also up against Sanctification taken by Tyrael. So no judgment. It's not about the stun, not about the initiation here. They just want to have the Sanctification to, of course, especially in the later stages of the game, help the team out. But right now, the situation that ATN Fancy find themselves in is pretty dire. They're already 1 map down, and this is a very good position that Team Liquid is in. They were not happy yesterday. They were mad. They were really, really angry. They lost, and you could really tell that it was a bit upset for them. So right now, they want to win with a 2-0 here, prepare for tomorrow, and so far, they're doing quite well.
Like I said, you could tell they were not happy, and showing this with the double burning rages here. However, Johanna getting engaged upon Iron Skin is down now, so the amazing body box for the Blackscorp is very tanky, but against 4 members, even with an Abathur hat, he's not going to be able to survive this. Nearly took down Darkmock though.
And you could really tell that Abathur waited a long time to move in against him, and for a very particular reason. They just moved up at the top, and they realized, well, even with Abathur, Johanna is most likely gonna die. So let's just push the top lane. There's only 1 hero to defend against it. We can do a maximum amount of damage. We're gonna lose Johanna, but it's absolutely fine. We still are ahead. We drop the wall at the keep and find ourselves in a very good position where later on, either the team or the monstrosity could take down the keep.
And ATN Fancy picking up their own Siege Giants. Liquid responding in kind, but Liquid have already taken their own Broods camp in the top lane, which will begin pushing up. And Fancy yet to take theirs, so maybe this could be one of the good old-fashioned classic Liquid camp raids. But it looks more on the lines of them pushing the bot lane.
And they are now with the entire team together here, but they basically replaced Leoric with Monty. The monstrosity is at the top lane right now, always pushing in the lane, saving itself again, moving back a little bit. And this is just like smart play by them. They create pressure on all of the lanes, and Alternate Fancy, they have to react, they have to deal with the monstrosity, they have to deal with the push. It creates some space for Team Liquid. They see the heroes up at the top lane, defending against the monstrosity push with the bruiser camp. So they move to the bot lane, take another camp, and just rotate around the map and create space for their pushes.
It's from pushing in here, using Drain Hope onto Blumby, gets a good percentage of his health, and continues to push in with these camps, like you did say. Monty is in the top lane, defending against the bruiser camp. Blumby moving out here, wants to see if he can try and catch someone. Health that's being dropped low. Zeratul is in the backline. Will we see a Void Prism try and zone out a couple of members here? March to the Black King from Leoric comes in. Blessed Shield from Johanna. Divine Shield will keep Zeratul alive.
Yeah, and once again, Sanctification has been used here, but Davis is in trouble. The kill against Zeratul comes first, and they can go for the keep now, but they want to have a few more heroes in the backline. Grand Paquette with the Tranquility. They hit level 16, and they go for the Adrenaline boost for the extra speed on the heroes. Especially great if you're playing with Johanna. That's exactly what they're trying to utilize here. We have a double imposing presence, and this is like really Black Days for Alternate Fancy now. They are in trouble. They are 3 levels behind, and Monty is up at the top lane again, pushing the lane, and Pajama Thua is capturing the shrine.
Yeah, Monty currently distracting from his dad there as he does grab the shrine. Both shrines in favor of Liquid. Blumby moving up to try and stop this, but runs into a mine, and we do have the extra mine slow from Abathur, and that gives Liquid more than enough time to pick up their fourth Dragon Knight of the game. I believe third.
Yeah, they move in, they take the mid lane right now. They have level 16, level 17, great play. And you can really tell that it's not about the team fights for them. It's smart rotations on the map, controlling the objectives, create pressure on a lane, draw the opponent to defend, and then move to another lane with a monstrosity, with a team, with a quick push, dropping a few structures, and then capturing the Dragon Knight, which is exactly what they're doing here. They move into the mid lane, they utilize the advantage that they have, the eye had an experience, the game plan that they had at the beginning. It is perfect.
Monstrosity charging in here, and it's not looking to help push. It's only looking for Darkbok and anyone else that it might be able to pick off here, and just zoning it that way. Johanna gets a good condemn off. Gary, though, will be taken down. Monty is trying to get onto Darkbok there, but Monstrosity immediately turning onto the core as they do have the Dragon Knight, and the entirety of Liquid are alive. There's the root Satirial, the condemn, and down he goes.
Down he goes, the Void Prism, buying them a bit more time, 78% on the core currently. It's a 5 versus 4 though, and they're moving in again. Darkbok goes down. Zeratul having no impact in this game. Uther dead, and just, it was such a simple move. We have again another map dropping in favor of Team Liquid, the Spanish team. That's the Spanish Armada that we are used to. Today, back to business. They take the 2-0 and win the best of 3 series without any problems whatsoever.
Yep, super well played by Liquid, and that should hopefully give them the morale boost they need going into tomorrow's games, as they do not have the safety net that is awarded to Na'Vi and Fnatic for winning most of their round-robin games.
And that's the Team Liquid that we were used to, the Team Liquid that we expected yesterday, dominant with good rotations on the map and really only taking the fights that they had to. They knew from the start, all right, this is how we want to play it, this is how we're going to go in, and especially on the last map, the strategy for them worked just out so well. For Alternate Fancy, of course, I mean, there's nothing on the line today. These are matches that didn't matter for the seeding anymore, but it's of course for the confidence. And if you haven't won a single map at the tournament, then that has to really screw with their confidence a bit. So Alternate Fancy, they really have to sit down. They know that they're up against Team Liquid tomorrow again, and they have to come up with another game plan.
Leoric managed to out-siege damage Abathur during that game, and also out-XP him. Abathur just going with the monstrosity strategy by just basically waiting till it spawns and then jumping on it and using it as a hero like we saw yesterday. And Leoric going with the good classic strategy of, I'm going to live in top lane and kill all of your buildings.
I really like that approach that they had there, though, making sure that Leoric, you know, it was such a different way that they played it than Na'Vi played it, also with their adjustments on the level 4 and level 7 talent. I really like the way that they played this. But Team Liquid, of course, they won it with a 2-0, and we're currently having them on stage again, so let's give it up for Clutch and let's see what the guys have to say about the last series.
Thank you, gentlemen. As the commentators mentioned, this matchup really doesn't change the seeding for tomorrow. But Vortex, now you finally have a win under your belt. From the losses of yesterday, especially with the high expectations of so many people based on your track record of Heroes of the Storm, does this victory kind of help you out and give you that boost of confidence that you need for tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. Yesterday we played quite bad. I won't lie, we played really bad, but we learned from every mistake we did. And I think the coming games are going to be much better for us. So yeah, I'm positive.
Do you have a message for any your fans out there that have been cheering for Team Liquid ever since the beginning of Heroes of the Storm, and they're going to be cheering for you tomorrow?
Yeah, I really hope they cheer for us tomorrow too. And the next days we really expect to do much better than yesterday. We have much more to show.
All right, thank you, Vortex. Congratulations on the win. That does it for our Heroes of the Storm for this matchup, at least. We still have one more game left for today. That's going to be Fnatic versus Na'Vi. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.